creating a news agenda that reflects an unbiased view of Asian current affairs without relying on external news sources. Asia Vision, Asian news through Asian eyes. For over 30 years, we have been getting stronger and faster. This year alone, we have added 4 new members, increasing our total to 13 members, contributing and exchanging news material every day. But our influence is just not limited to the region. We have been expanding our network across the globe. In the Middle East and Northern Africa, we have Sister Union, Arab States Broadcasting Union, sharing news with us daily. In Europe, we exchange news with over 60 different European broadcasters, and in America, CNN receives news materials from AVN and broadcasts them all over the world. Asian news is changing faster and having more of an impact on global affairs than ever before. Through improvements in technology, journalists are able to submit and access more news stories and receive updates faster through our newly integrated internet-based platform. The new internet platform has made it easier to contribute and access current news events, and the rise of membership participation has led to a dramatic increase of items being exchanged over the last year. With the exchange of news comes the exchange of ideas. Members can also benefit from AVN journalist workshops and attachment schemes in our bid to create partnerships, spread knowledge, and elevate standards. So, contribute your views in global affairs and join us as we document history in the making. Asia Vision, Asian news through Asian eyes.
Hello and welcome to AVN News with me, Mariam Shoshat. A norovirus that left officials at the Pyeongchang Olympics scrambling to contain it means athletes might have more to worry about than just going for the gold. More than 100 people have come down with this dreaded stomach bug. VOA's Carol Pearson tells us what it is, how it spreads, and what precautions athletes and others can take to keep the virus in check.
South Korean Olympic organizers quarantined more than 1,000 workers after some tested positive for the norovirus, a stomach bug that causes nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea.
Norovirus is a virus that's exceptionally contagious. It can be spread by simply touching surfaces.
And it can survive for days or even weeks on a variety of surfaces. It only takes a small amount of the virus to infect someone.
It can be spread by vomiting, and because it can aerosolize to some extent, people can pick up enough that way. It can be spread through the stool if you accidentally get a little bit of feces on something.
The virus spreads quickly between people, especially in close quarters like cruise ships and nursing homes. It can spread wherever there are crowds. The norovirus can also be passed on through contaminated food and water if the person handling it has the virus or gets fecal matter on the food or in a drink. Symptoms normally last for a few days, but afterwards it causes fatigue. The antidote is cleanliness, lots of hand washing and disinfecting any surfaces that might be contaminated, especially kitchens and bathrooms, and keeping your fingers away from your face. If all goes well, the athletes can just focus on their sports. Carol Pearson, VOA News, Washington.
It has been a tough week on Wall Street. The Dow Jones Industrial Average closed more than 300 points higher after plunging more than 1,000 points the day before, the second steepest decline in history. The biggest dive happened when the blue chip index fell more than 1,100 points. It is enough to make even the most experienced investors swoon. But does this mean the end of the 9-year bull market? Is it time to worry? Mil Arcega spoke with economic analysts to get some answers.
After quadrupling in value since 2009, the first signs of trouble for equity markets came last week after the release of the Labor Department's monthly jobs report. Not only was hiring solid in January, it also showed wages rising at the fastest pace in nearly a decade.
Which is kind of ironic because the positive economic news is triggering the shakeup in markets because investors are realizing that the Federal Reserve needs to cut back on their stimulus.
That stimulus, record low interest rates, and a $4 trillion bond buying spree helped kickstart an economy struggling to recover from recession. But with the global economy on the rebound and U.S. inflation starting to pick up, the era of easy money on Wall Street may be over.
And this is jolting the equity markets, and as such, we're seeing some disruption in the equity markets.
More than just a disruption, major U.S. stock indices have now entered what business insiders call a correction, meaning a decline of at least 10% from its most recent high. Bankrate.com says, think of it as a safety valve that keeps markets from overheating.
I think individual investors should realize that this is a market behaving as it should, if anything.
Bankrate.com's Mark Hamrick says that includes a return to volatility, or the normal gyrations of a market in flux.
Traders welcome volatility. It's one of the ways that they make money. I think what perhaps is more unsettling is the experience for the individual investor.
Despite short-term losses, a new survey by the National Association for Business Economics shows consumer and business sentiment is high.
They were pretty upbeat. They said that sales had increased at their companies in the fourth quarter compared to the third quarter. Fewer companies had a decrease in sales, and the outlook for 2018 is quite positive.
So while the broader stock market has now lost all of its gains in 2018, experts say U.S. economic fundamentals remain sound. Their advice? Don't panic. The 9-year-old bull market isn't over just yet. Millar Sega for VOA News, Washington.
Asia Vision, Asian news through Asian eyes.
A new vocabulary program claims to dramatically accelerate a child's understanding of language. As Faith Lapidus reports, the Mrs. Wordsmith's teaching system relies on cartoon drawings and short word exercises to boost academic achievement.
Learning to read is the foundation for future learning in all fields. But reading is more than just sounding out the letters. For academic success, students need to understand what all those words mean. They need a big vocabulary. How big? 10,000 words big. Sophia Fenichel worked with a team of data scientists from Cambridge University to come up with the list.
We call it the 10,000 word journey, and we believe that children can master these words from the age of 7 to 17 and then not have to cram. And these words are typically the words that they find in books they read, in newspapers, in adult conversation. We're accelerating their ability to communicate, but also to improve their reading and writing age.
Each word in the Mrs. Wordsmith system of teaching has a child-friendly definition and an illustration of the word. Shriveled, for example, is defined as wrinkled, like hippo skin that's been in the bath too long, underneath a cartoon of a very wet and very shriveled hippopotamus.
The words are illustrated by the same award-winning artist that did Madagascar, Hotel Transylvania, and all these Hollywood hits. So they want more of it, and moms and teachers love it because they know that there's real research backing and data behind it. It's not random.
There are exercises on the back of each cartoon page to help reinforce understanding. So students will be cool, calm, and unflappable when they come across new words. At this education technology show in London, Fenichel says Mrs. Wordsmith has been a hit in schools across the UK.
The teachers are reporting back that the kids love it. They want to do more. They're putting it in their writing. They're learning more words, and it's so easy to teach them the vocabulary. Little children are using words like the brazen attitude of the British in World War II, and teachers are writing us saying they can't believe how much their writing has improved.
Mrs. Wordsmith is now set to expand into schools in the United States and elsewhere. I'm Faith Lapidus, VOA News.
When two people see things the same way, it is often said that they are operating on the same wavelength. That concept recently got a scientific stamp of approval when researchers at the University of Cambridge found that brainwaves of adults and infants synchronize when they look at each other's eyes while singing a nursery rhyme. VOA's George Putich has more.
The wheels on the bus go round and round.
Helen Harrison softly sings a nursery rhyme to her 8-month-old daughter, Anya, while looking straight into her eyes. Her daughter returns the gaze. A moment later, Harrison sings the same rhyme, looking away. Mother and baby both wear special skull caps equipped with sensors that pick up their brain waves and send them to a computer for analysis. Victoria Long heads the Baby LINC lab at the University of Cambridge.
This is the first demonstration that babies have these amazing abilities to lock onto adults' brain activity, and we think that this is to do with their ability to detect gaze as a cue for readiness to communicate and readiness to engage.
Brainwaves of 36 pairs of infants and adults clearly show the degree of synchronization depends on their eye contact. The surprising discovery was that the greatest synchronization happened when the adult's head was turned away, but her eyes were still locked with the baby's eyes.
When she's looking away, but her eyes are back this way, it makes her look much more intentional in her meaning to communicate with the infant, because she must be deliberately looking back for some reason. And so we think that increase in intentionality could be what's driving the synchronicity between the pair.
The baby's intentions to communicate were measured by the number and length of vocalizations they made. The babies who vocalized the longest had the strongest synchronization with adults, which scientists say may make learning more effective.
It might be the case that direct eye contact between infants and caregivers stimulates communicative development and language development.
Scientists say the evidence shows that synchronicity between the infants and adults' brains was greater when both showed greater intention to communicate. George Putic, VOA News.
Asia Vision, Asian news through Asian eyes.
Mustard seeds are a great source of protein, but they taste horrible. Now a group of geneticists are working to breed a better seed without the bitter taste that is also resistant to drought and disease. VOA's Kevin Enochs reports.
Rapeseed is a beautiful flowering plant that's harvested for its oil, used in cooking and biofuels. But a similar plant may be even better.
There is a close cousin to oilseed rape. It's called brown mustard, and it has heat and drought tolerance in contrast to oilseed rape, and in addition it also has disease resistance.
But it tastes terrible because of some bitter-tasting compounds that show up in the seed's chemical makeup. Researchers at the University of Copenhagen are trying to breed that bitter taste out of mustard by breeding the bad taste out of the seeds.
By identifying those transporters responsible for that import, we found a solution. If we could mutate these transporters so that they do not import the mustard into the seed, then we would have a mustard-free seed.
The result is a new source of plant oil. It can be used for cooking and even used for protein in animal feed once the bitter taste is gone. The best part? It grows nearly everywhere.
And another potential of this robust oilseed crop is that we can start growing it in new locations. Not only can we get it back into the middle part of Canada, but we can start growing it in Eastern Europe, where it gets really dry and hot now with these climate changes, and in India and in Australia, particularly Western Australia.
The researchers say they're a few years away from breeding a plant that will be commercially attractive and be as full of antioxidants and omega-3s as plant oils on the market today. Kevin Enochs, VOA News.
Astronomers say a new instrument now being tested on one of the telescopes in Chile's Atacama Desert will greatly enhance their ability to search for Earth-like planets. VOA's George Putic has more.
The U.S. Space Agency NASA estimates there may be 1 billion Earth-sized planets in our galaxy alone, and at least some of them are in the habitable zone of their solar systems. But being so far away, they can only be detected with sophisticated instruments, such as the Echelle spectrograph for rocky exoplanet and stable spectroscopic observations, or ESPRESSO for short. It is now being tested at the European Southern Observatory in Paranal, Chile. Instrument scientist Gasparello Curto says the presence of distant planets can be detected by measuring their gravitational pull on their stars.
The espresso spectrograph will reach a precision of 10 centimeters per second. You have to think that a person walking can calmly reach 1 meter per second, while this instrument will be able to measure the displacement of a star, which moves slower than a man who walks, and will measure it millions and millions of kilometers away.
The light coming from the telescope lens will be transferred by optical fiber to the spectrograph, located in a huge supercooled vacuum chamber kept at minus 150 degrees Celsius. There, the light will be split into its components and analyzed to determine the speed of the star.
In addition, Espresso is able to collect light of the 4 units of telescopes that you can see here on the platform, and that is really unique. It makes it the largest instrument attached to a telescope that exists today in the world.
Espresso will also help scientists determine whether a planet has oxygen, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, and even water. After testing, Espresso's underground chamber will be sealed, and no one will be allowed to enter for at least 10 years in order to maintain its temperature stability. A year ago, using a less sophisticated spectrograph called HARPS, astronomers discovered a star with 7 Earth-sized planets just 40 light years away. Scientists hope that Espresso will help them find many more. George Putic, VOA News.
And that's all we have for you right now. Thank you for joining us. Have a pleasant day ahead and goodbye.
Asia Vision, Asian news through Asian eyes.
Tanuga jarima hingi. Evaru mihunga bahagolu midane. Ding evaru kantata kofa dibehi muchudamaya heo ide ko manya emihunga kibang alume hivara emihunga kibang alume bumbara fambara misrab negima ding aluna hivani diviharaji dana misrab alume nege ya jaga nudeng alun diviharaji tuna midanu alume diviharaji verekama havadiru midenne vikahada nama birweri asaru kurunweniga halete gadiviharajuti siyasi mihun nimmuga Rajitunang eng asar kurakamanya ege simma furihame ufudanjena egi maaf kurinje kamenu egi maafa edemena kamebesu
ಎಂಗೇತ ಮೂದುಕಾ ಹೆದೆ ವಿನ ನುವತ ಹುಯಿಗಂಡಕಿ ಎಗ್ಗಂಗಾ ಹೆದೆ ವಿನ ಫದಾನ್ ಮಾಳಾ ಜಾತ್ಕೆ ವಿನೈ ಎತನಕಿ ಕುದಿ ಮಸ್ಮಹಾಮೆಹಿ ಎಮ್ಮೆ ತುತ್ತೀರು ಹಿಯಾವಹಿಕಮಾ ರಕ್ಕಾತಿರಿಕಮಾ ಕಾಣಾ ಫೋರ್ ಕೊದ್ದೆ ಥನೆ ಅದಿ ಮೂದ್ವಿನೈಕಿ ವೆಲಾಫದ ದಿರೇತಕತಿಗೆ ಕಾಣಾಗೆ ಪಾವತೆ ಮೂದ್ವಿನಾಗೆ ಮೂತಕಿ ಬೆಲಿಗಂಡ ವಿಫಾಟ್ಟಾದೆ ಎಚ್ಚೆ ಕಮಬುಮುಂ ರಗ್ಗಿರ್ಮುನ್ ಸಲಾಮೆಕ್ ಕೊದ್ದಿನುಮಂ ಎಹಿ ತೆರಿವೆದೆ ಜವ್ವು ಹೂಣು ಮಮ್ಮೆದುರ್ವಾ ಮ್ಯಾಗಂಡ್ ಗ್ಯಾಸ್ ಕಮಪಾ ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಡೈಆಕ್ಸೈಡ್ ಮದುಕುರುಮಂ ಎಹಿ ತೆರಿವೆದೆ ಮೂದ್ವಿನಾಗೆ ಸಬಬುಂ ದಿಮಾವಾ ಉಂದಗೂ ತಮ್ಮದ್ ಕುರಾಣಿ ಕಿಹಿನೆ ಹುರಿಹಾ ಬಾವತೆಗ್ಗೆ ಕುಣ್ಯಾ ಕುಣಿವಾ ಜಾತ್ಗೆ ಕುಣಿ ವಿನಗಣ್ ಮಚ್ಚನ್ನಾಳ ಅದಿ ಗಸ್ಸಿಂತುಮ ಬೇಣು ಕುರಾ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ಗಸ್ಕಾಣ ಅದಿ ಗಹಜ್ಜಹ ಬೇಸ್ ಬೇಣು ಕುರುಂ ಮದುಕುರಮ ಮಿಫದ ತಕೆಚ್ಚಕಿ ಏಗೆ ಜಾತುಗಾ ಹುನ್ನ ಮಾದ್ದಾ ತವಗಿ ಸಬಬುಂ ಮೂದ್ವಿನ ಬೇಣುಂ ಬಾವರವ್ವರೆ ಇತುರಂ ಹಿದ್ಗತುಮ ಮಕ್ಕಂ ಕೊತೆಚ್ಚೆ ರಶುಗೆ ಫರಾ ಮದುವೆಗೆ 40 ಮೀಟರ್ ದೂರಂ ಹುಳುವೆ ಗೊತ್ತ ನರ್ದಮಾ ಹೊಳೆಯಾಳಮ ನರ್ದಮ್ಯಾಂ ಬೇರುವ ನಜಿಹಕಿ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಕುರೇಫಾವಾ ಎಚ್ಚಕಂ ಹಿದೇತೋ ಮಸೆಕ್ಕೆ ಕುರಮ ಮೂದ್ವಿನಾಗೆ ಮುಹಿಮ್ ಕಮಾ ಬೆಹೆ ಮಾಲೂಮಾತ್